Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mark. Now, this episode for me is probably the highlight of my whole podcast career. I say that with full confidence because I've never felt anything like I did when we did this recording. Now, Frank Turner for me is one of the greatest songwriters of our generation. I was a huge fan of Million Dead and I adore his solo work. So when I got the opportunity to do a live podcast with a Q&A and acoustic set, live at 2000trees on stage, my God, my dream came true. It was rammed, and I really can't stress this enough. There were thousands of people. You'll hear on the recording today just how busy it was, and it couldn't have gone any better. I remember walking out on stage and all I could see was a sea of people. I couldn't genuinely see to the back of the fields, but I had this incredible feeling. I had no nerves, and I just had this gut feeling it was going to be a success, and truly it couldn't have gone better. So, what I'm really excited by today is the fact that I've been able to record this for you guys at home, and for anyone that was unable to come to the festival and catch this set. It was so busy, but I know there's a lot of people online that have missed out and really want to hear it, and I can't wait to share it. So I think the best thing to do is to get straight to it. So here's my live set with the incredible Frank Turner live at 2000trees. Yeah. I am getting laid tonight. As you know, guys, you're all here for a very special artist. I was a huge fan of Million Dead, and I absolutely believe this is probably the country's best songwriter on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, even louder now for the beautiful Frank Turner.
Hi everybody. It's the first time I've been called beautiful so far today.
And it won't be the last.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Is it going to be you again later?
All day.
All day, I love it. Okay, you are getting late tonight.
This has already turned into a place I never thought could exist.
Yes, it's got quite awkward, hasn't it?
Where do we go from here?
I mean, you're in charge, so
Yes.
I'll let you lead.
With all guests of the podcast, what I do is I love to go right back to the very start.
Okay.
And you've been on the podcast previously, but for the people out here that may have not listened, tell me about when you were growing up, that first album you bought that changed your life.
Well, my dad bought it actually, but I was into Games Workshop. And my mate who I played Games Workshop with, older brother, had an Iron Maiden poster in his bedroom. And it was the Stranger in a Strange Land, for anyone who wants the details, and which for a 10-year-old is a zombie cowboy in the future. And I was like, that's cool. And he said, it's a band. And I said, get the fuck out of it. There's no bands that's as cool as that. And he said, no, it is. So as a 10-year-old does, I mentioned it to my dad. And he bought a copy of Killers on cassette from the R price at Waterloo Station, and gave it to me. And it still regards that as a central parenting error because it changed my life.
Well, that's a hell of an album. Mine was Cooler Shaker.
The other great new wave of British heavy metal band.
And I hate my dad for the rest of my life for it.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, well, fair enough.
Live music changed for me when I first saw Green Day. That was the first gig I went to, so better than Cooler Shaker. Wolverhampton, Wolfram Hall, Dookie was the tour.
Nice.
And it blew my mind and made me want to be in a band and try and do what you do now, you know, but It never happened.
Oh.
Oh.
But there's still time.
Give us the guitar.
There's the guitar, yeah.
This one's called When I Come Around. No. But I wondered if you had a great first gig you've laid the foundations today with Iron Maiden.
Yeah, so basically my mum hated the music I was listening to. And she said I wasn't allowed to go to gigs because she thought gigs were just sort of bikers injecting each other with heroin in the dark. And I have now been to those gigs as well. But anyway, and then it turned out, so there was a band called Snug. I don't know if anyone here remembers Snug. They're a British kind of pop punk band. And the singer's mum was a friend of my mum. And they were playing the Joiners Arms in Southampton. And so my mum kind of grudgingly said that I could go. I was way too young to be there. And went down and just lost my mind. I pogoed all the way through all the bands and the music between bands, which I would imagine was incredibly annoying. And then Snug played, and I thought they were amazing. Snug, largely forgotten by history, but other than the fact that their guitarist is called Ed Harcourt, who you may know, and Ed hates it when I mention that he was in Snug, so I'd just like to repeat for the record that Ed Harcourt was in Snug. And they were great.
It's being filmed and recorded.
Yeah, there we go. Ed, right, there we go.
This one's for you, Ed.
Yeah, but I had a great time. I mean, it was going to a small venue like that for my first show was really cool. The next show I saw was Foo Fighters at the Astoria, 96, I think. But yeah, so I was. I just felt like I'd sort of found a place I wanted to be in, which I hadn't at that point done yet, and it felt like where I was meant to be.
Obviously, we're going to talk a lot today, but Million Dead, for me, one of the best brands out there. There was Reuben, Hell is for Heroes, 100 Reasons, this influx of great British bands.
Sure.
Do you miss those guys?
The Million Dead guys or all of those bands?
All of them.
All of them, yes.
Yes.
There we go. Wow, that was pointed. No, I do. I mean, it was an interesting time. I mean, at the risk of sounding self-involved, like Million Dead, both at the time, and I was at Ben, the drummer from Million Dead's house a couple of months ago, getting drunk like old men and listening to things we did when we were cool, and like both at the time and even now, with it, I love 100 Reasons, I love House of Heroes, and I particularly love Reuben. But I just felt like we didn't really have much in common with those bands musically. It was great to play shows with them. Do you know what I mean? It was always an honour, and I don't want to be like up my own arse about this basically, but like we felt like our kind of set of influences was quite different, and I think that's still, you listen back to it, Million Dead was a really weird band, and I'm kind of proud of that. We were a square peg in a round hole. We didn't really fit. So like we toured with Funeral for a Friend a lot, another incredible band, brilliant band. But like I don't think we sounded like Funeral for a Friend like at all, and I'm very grateful for the shows they gave us, and I love their music. But like we felt like we didn't quite fit, and I like that because I grew up listening to like I love like Jesus Lizard and Hot Snakes and bands that sort of don't quite make any sense in the kind of flowchart of music history, and if we were one of those, then that would be cool.
I was listening to an episode of Two Promoters, One Pod.
Yes.
Louder, the organisers' podcast, for fuck's sake. And there was a slight hint about Million Dead.
Yeah, fuck. And
I think
now I want to stage in front of people. It is.
You can't hide.
No, I can't. It's a little early. We had. Oh God, am I going to do this? We had a beer the other day. Everybody at Million Dead. We all met up for the first time in 20 years, and it was quite nice. And that's all I'm going to say.
All I'm going to say is, who would like to see Million Dead next year at this festival?
Genuinely, one of the issues is that I cannot even remotely sing that high anymore.
Oh.
I was 21 and yapping away right at the top of my range, and I put on a record the other day and tried to sing along with it. I was like, nope. So we're going to have to like tune down the guitars. It's not a thing yet. Okay, chill out.
On the lovely subject of singing,
Yes.
would you like to sing a song for us right now?
I would if you guys would like me to sing a song right now.
I feel at this point I should step away because I don't want photographs of you singing your heart out.
No. Come on, get a tambourine or something. Do you know what I mean? Backing vocals, yeah, join in. Fuck it. We're all friends here. All right. Well, yeah, give them a kazoo. Goddamn. Can you guys hear that? Yeah. I'm going to play a few songs in this podcast set. I thought I'd start with a really old one. I played the first ever 2000 Trees in, I believe, 2007, and I would have played this song then. This song's called The Real Damage. Woke up on a sofa in an unfamiliar house, surrounded by sleeping folks that I didn't know. Failing to find my friends, I decided that it was clearly time to go. So I made my way out of the door as quietly as I could. There was no one there I knew to say goodbye. Squinting in the sadly sobering sunshine of the Sunday morning light. Feel free to sing along to the chorus. All right, let's go. 'Cause I started the night with all my friends and I ended up alone. Oh yes, I started out so happy. Now I'm hungover and down. It was about then that I realized I was halfway through the best years of my life. By the way, I wrote this song when I was 25, and that last line is some serious 25-year-old bullshit. So I scanned the local landmarks trying to find out where I was, or maybe even find a bus back home. I was longing for a shower, for clean sheets and a charger for my phone. And suddenly it hit me, well, I got paid this Friday last. So I rifled through my pockets for some change. But all I found was a packet of broken cigarettes and a sinking sense of shame. 'Cause I started the night with all my friends and I ended up alone. Oh yes, I started out so happy. Now I'm hungover and down. It was about then that I realized I was halfway through the best years of my life. And I had to ask myself, well, is it really worth it? Is any of this worth it? Thought this wasn't perfect, but I've yet to figure out a better way to spend my time. Too many suits and dirty looks made me rack my brains. The real damage started to sink in. It had been quite a heavy weekend, but I could just about remember where I'd been. Last time all together, 2000 trees. 'Cause I started the night with all my friends and I ended up alone. Oh yes, I started out so happy. Now I'm hungover and down. I stood on a street corner and I felt a little sick. It was about then that I realized I was halfway through the first day of the week. Thank you very much. Am I doing another right now? Should we?
Well, let's do it because it sounds great on the audio. Well, Frank, that was amazing.
Thank you.
You're quite a talent.
Wow, it's gonna. Yeah, I mean, there might be a future in this, right? I mean, God, that song is like 19 years old now. It's crazy. There may be people in this audience who are younger than that song. That's wild. That song can now drink in Canada.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now this is great for the audio. So, would anyone else at this point like to hear another song?
By the way, obviously I'm playing at least one show later. And I'm trying not to repeat myself because I've got 10 million songs. So I'm not going to play anything now that I'm going to play later. Okay? This is a song. This is a kind of mid-period song that I stopped playing for a long time. But recently it started making sense to me again. So I'll play this one. Some mornings I pray for evenings, for the day to be done. Some summer days I hide away and wait for rain to come. 'Cause it turns out hell will not be found within the fires below. But I'm making do and muddling through when you've nowhere else to go. Then I remember you truth in all you do. And if you remembered me, you could save me from the way I tend to be, the way I tend to be. Some days I wake up, days, my dear, I don't know where I am. I've been running now so long, I'm scared. I've forgotten how to stand. And I stand around in airport bars, I gather thoughts to think. If all I had was one long road, it could drive a man to drink. Then I remember you, and the way you shine like truth in all you do. And if you remembered me, you could save me from the way I tend to be. 'Cause I said I love you so many times that the words kinda die in my mouth. I meant it each time with each beautiful passion, but somehow it never works out. But you stood apart in my calloused heart, and you taught me, and here's what I learned: that love is about all the changes you make, and not just 3 small words. And then I catch myself catching your scent on someone else in a crowded space, and it takes me somewhere I cannot quite place. And then I remember you, the way you shine like truth in all you do. If you remembered me, you could save me from the way I tend to be, the way I tend to be. The way I tend to be, the way I tend to be. Thank you very much.
Also, you guys can all sing beautifully in unison. That was stunning. 2000 Trees, dude. Like, the history that Frank Turner and 2000 Trees together, it's pretty special. You've been here how many times now?
9 million. I actually don't know. I've been asked this question about 8 times today, and I really feel like I should have Googled it before I got here. I think roughly 7, but I mean, I don't know. I definitely did the first year.
Does it feel really great to look back at the posters and see you going up the stages and the sets getting bigger and
Yeah.
the crowd getting bigger?
Well, I think that's the thing about 2000 Trees and me, is I feel like, so James, who runs the festival, and his brothers and the team who run it, like we started at a similar time and figured out what we're doing at a similar time. Do you know what I mean? And so there's always been this real kind of like family connection there.
What's really wonderful that you guys don't see this, but when we're backstage and the press is all going on, you are really struggling to get time with the massive acts sometimes. It's really difficult because, you know, you're a podcaster or an independent fanzine. I've seen you from the moment I got on site today, I think it was about 10 a.m., talking to everyone and anyone. And do you know how much that means to all the people that work their asses off every day, that they get you for just 10 minutes or 50 minutes? This is important.
Well, thank you. That's kind of it.
It's... People don't realise, but just that little dream of having a guest on that could come on and talk, it is so meaningful. And
Thank you.
You guys, this is a special moment, isn't it? It's fucking awesome.
Thank you very much.
Keep
That's
doing
kind.
it, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, we started this conversation backstage, and then you were like, "Save it, save it." So
Don't tell anyone yet.
We'll talk about it now. I mean, first of all, I like talking about myself. let's be honest. And you know, it's part of my job description, for want of a less loaded term. But I think the other thing for me lately as well, I spent years kind of thinking about what a mid-career lull would look like, because every long-term artist has a bit where it goes off a bit, and I spent so long thinking about it that I didn't really notice it happening. You know, I will aggressively stand behind every record that I've made. But a very close friend of mine described the albums "Be More Kind" and "No Man's Land" as my walkabout records the other day, and I thought it was quite a nice way of putting it. And the thing is, with the last record to a degree, but with the current one especially, in terms of the interest in what I do and like ticket sales and shit like that, like I'm definitely kind of having a bit of a resurgence moment at the moment. And I guess my point is that like I now know what it feels like to go off the boil a bit and to have less people interested in talking to you and showing off the festival. And like, do we have any press? And they're like, no. So it's kind of like I know what it feels like if the kind of the Sauron's eye of the world's attention kind of goes off you for a bit. So when it is back on, it's just like make hay, motherfucker. Do you know what I mean? It's like talk to people. If people want to talk to you, talk to them back. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very grateful that I'm broadly grateful that I'm still doing this so many bloody years after I started, and that you look at you're all here. That means the fucking world to me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's been an amazing year, even though we're only in July. You know, I put you as the headliner tonight. I keep saying the headliner, Frank. Sorry, Don Broco.
Don Broco are amazing, by the way. I love Don Broco. What a band. Let's hear it for Don Broco.
But you also set a record for the most ever gigs in 24 hours.
Yeah, it was nightmarish.
Do you regret it now?
No, because I've recovered. But I spent a fair amount of the time we were doing it regretting it. But my crew who did it with me told me all the way through, both before, during, and after, the two things. They were like, this was your idea, and we're never doing this again. So I'm glad we did it. I mean, the existing record was 10 shows in 10 cities in 24 hours, and we did 15. We got to the end of the 11th one, and it was like, can we stop now? Do you know what I mean? We've achieved our aims. But, I mean, it was a cool thing to do. I mean, obviously, it was a stunt to promote the record on some levels, but the other thing that I managed to do was direct quite a lot of my album marketing budget into hiring small venues and independent venues and all that around the country, which struck me as a not shit way of spending my time and money. So, happy days.
It was beautiful, and you don't need to go and beat your own record. So unless someone else comes along,
if somebody else
relax.
comes along, I will meet them at the finish line. I'll meet them at the finish line with a fucking silver, blanket thing and a mug of tea, and I'll give them a really big hug. I'm totally fine with that.
Also, Undefeated came out. What a great album!
Thank you.
And I love the fact that you actually produced it and recorded it yourself this time round.
Yeah, which was a first for me. And I think it went quite well. I mean, it's for other people to judge, really. But like I started during lockdown. I was like, I need a hobby, and I started figuring out how to engineer recorded music. I mean, the word production covers a lot of different bases, and I've always arranged my records, but I haven't moved the mics and set compressors and stuff before. I learned how to do it so I could produce other people, and I've been producing bands like the Meffs, Pet Needs. I do this all day. Grace Petrie. And people like that. And then we were sat around having a conversation about who was going to produce my next record, and suddenly I was like, I can do it. I don't need to pay somebody a load of money to sit in the corner and clap when I get it right. Do you know what I mean? I did have a friend of mine come down to help with the engineering and check that I'd pressed the right button and that kind of thing. But and my friend Tristan mixed it, who mixed Love Our Own Song in England, Keep My Bones, and Live in Newcastle. So there was a nice sense of getting the gang back together as well on that level. But I think it came out good. I still really like it.
One thing I'm really interested in, that you've produced it yourself and engineered it as much as you know in your own doing. How do you know then that the song is finished? Because an artist would be like, I'm just going to do a little bit more around the eyes, or it's really difficult for someone to say, Frank, just stop now. You spent 12 days on this one take.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I guess the thing is that there's a couple of things. First of all, something I've done increasingly over time is demo records. At the beginning, I never demoed records. I didn't really know what the point was, and now I do, which is that it's a kind of preparatory sketch, as it were. And me and the Sleeping Souls have demoed the record like 3 times in full. So by the time we got into the studio, it really was just a case of like getting the fad copy down to a degree. The other thing I would say, T.S. Eliot once said that poems are never finished; they're only ever abandoned, which I
Oh,
like.
I love that.
But and I think that's relevant to what we're talking about. But also, like a skill that it took me a long time to figure out was knowing when to stop. Do you know what I mean? And like, or even taking stuff away from an arrangement. There's a song on the new record, which I believe we're going to talk about in a little bit. But we were working on it for ages, and the arrangement wasn't right, and I couldn't figure it out. And then one day I just tried muting my guitar part, and I was like, there it is. Didn't need that arsehole on the guitar, it turns out. Plus, it means I get to wave my arms around when we play it in the band. It's great. But so, I sort of had a sense in my head of what the record was going to go like, and once it got close to that, I was like, yeah, there we go.
If someone came up to me now and said, you're going to do a set at 2000 Trees with Frank Turner, and you could choose any song, I would choose Somewhere in Between.
Okay, well...
This is true.
Which is lovely, and I am going to play that song, but I'm going to play it last.
Oh,
okay.
you screwed me on stage.
I've screwed you on stage, but I'm going to do it with a smile on my face, because is it time for another song?
Would you like another song?
Because we were chatting earlier, and you made a suggestion, which I think I initially slightly raised an eyebrow at, and then I realised I was being a dickhead, so I'm going to do it. This is a song by Million Dead. This is the oldest song. I wrote this song I co-wrote this song in 2002.
I am sitting this out because I do not want to look like the special kid on stage when I play. And this is a big moment.
Let's hear it for Mark, by the way. Isn't he great? Yeah. I haven't played this song in ages. It's just occurred to me, so we'll see how the words go. This song's called Smiling at Strangers on Trains. It was the strangest thing today. Saw new footprints in abandoned pathways, beneath forgotten undergrowth, something stirring again. You were a single red blood cell, but I lost you in this knot of capillaries. But you were bringing me oxygen when I needed it most in the smoke. You always, as far as Mongolia, as close as my clothes, your presence pervading, but it still never shows. As close as the answer that I never quite know, or don't quite remember. Your distance insidious, as soft as a blow. Your shadow is with me wherever I go. It's on the tip of my tongue, but still I never quite know, or don't quite remember. I don't quite remember the forced proximity of a million different Mike Lee movies. Makes me long for the fresh air of a familiar face, not the violence of loneliness or the unease of surrounded seclusion. Keep nearly missing you around corners and in passing trains. As far as Mongolia, as close as my clothes. Your presence pervading, but it still never shows. As close as the answer that I never quite know, or don't quite remember. Your distance insidious, as soft as a blow. Your shadow is with me wherever I go. It's on the tip of my tongue, it's on the tip of my... If I'd known, 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 that you weren't so far away, that you weren't so far away, that you weren't so far away, that you were never that far away, that you weren't so far away, that you weren't so far away. You welcome back to the stage, Mark. Fuck. There we go. I got the words right as well. Got one of the chords wrong.
Fucking hell. You know, like, sometimes you're like, I can't cry, or someone pinch you. Like, that fucking moment is shared with
Thank
all
you
these
very
people.
much, man.
Fuck yes.
I appreciate that. That's kind of you to say. Thank you.
Oh, I miss Million Dad.
But we like the new stuff too, yeah?
It's much better. But
good, that's the correct answer.
yes.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there, man? My God, my heart is racing. Anyway, 3,000 shows are coming up.
Yeah.
That's
We have
fucking mad.
nearly the right number of shows between now and then, but not quite. So keep your eyes peeled for me showing up in pubs in early February next year with a guitar, being like, "Anyone want to hear a couple of songs, man?" No, it's gonna be a magic thing. I'm really excited about it. I'm really grateful as well. This is a true story, by the way. So Alexander Palace is a big venue. It holds 10,000 people. I have played there before, but the last time I played there, we didn't sell it out. And my manager and my agent and I were chatting about it. And they were like, "It's a big room. Maybe we should do somewhere smaller." And I was like, "No, I think it'd be all right." But we said to each other, if we get to like 9,500 tickets by the day of the show, then we'll just tell everyone it's sold out anyway. Do you know what I mean? And we'd be very content with that. And then we put it on sale, and at about 2 p.m., my manager called me and went, "So we're on 7,000 tickets already." And I was like, "Fucking excuse you." And we sold it out in a day, and I'm very grateful for that. So my manager said, "Do you want to do a second night?" And I said, "No one gives a fuck about show 3001, man. Like, let's just bank this one and move on." I am aware, by the way, talking to a UK audience, that we have everything I've got in the UK is sold out at the moment. So we'll probably do another tour at some point next year. I actually have no idea when, but we will do another tour next year.
I was talking backstage and I thought, imagine this is a disaster, because if we do so many songs today, it counts as a show.
It is going to count as a show. I need this to count as
Yes.
a show, man.
But there's a rule that it has to be
5 songs. It's self-imposed, I should
Yes.
say, by the way. I mean, no one else cares, but like...
I was worried that someone online would be like, "Hang on, you played 2000 trees, so this is 3001 when you got to London."
No, I'm listing this one for sure. And by the
How
way,
cool.
I'm always, not everybody knows this, the list of my shows is on my website. There are people who doubt me about the number of shows I've done. I'm like, go and fucking read it yourself. But yeah, this one, if you will allow me to play more than one more song, then this will count as a show.
Only if the people want it.
Well, this is show number... Oh, God. Again, loads of people think that I know this information off the top of my head, but it's generally written on the set list. I just add one to the one from yesterday. No, it's fine. It's 2,914, this one. So, but I just remember the set list from later and minus one, so, yeah. But yeah, so, I mean, this could be a show. Would you like it to be a show?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, well, should we just talk about that song that you thought I was about to play, that I am now about to play?
Why does it mean... Oh, you're going to play it now? Nice.
I am going to play it now, yeah.
Why does it mean so much to you? Because it's my favourite song on the album. I told you this a minute ago backstage.
Thank you.
It's just a fucking epic masterpiece of musicianship.
That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. This is a song called Somewhere in Between, and it's a song about imposter syndrome and anxiety and that kind of thing. And first of all, there's a thing that I have a lot. And in a very minor way, it feels like an interesting thing to write about, because I think there are a lot of people who think that that's not something that would trouble me given what I do for a living. But it very much does. I mean, I think most artistic people I know exist on a spin cycle of extreme self-confidence and extreme self-doubt. But this is about the bottom half of that spin cycle. But also, I mean, I think ultimately, like, it was a scary thing to write a song about, and it felt good to try and kind of get those feelings across properly. But also, every time you sit down to write a song, or indeed any other kind of artwork, this sounds simple and it really isn't. It's an attempt to say exactly what you mean. And that's quite hard to do. And I would say of all of the songs I've written, that some of them are more successful than others with that. But like, this song took a long fucking time to write. But when I finally finished it, my overwhelming feeling was that says exactly what I mean. And that is a rare thing for me. And so I felt good about it. And I'm glad that you like it too. That's nice.
I'm going to sit out again because I just feel a bit awkward. If I had a tambourine or some drums, I'd be like, yeah, this is it. How to murder your favourite song.
This song is called Somewhere in Between. I've been pretending to be somebody else since I was just 15. I don't know if the show was for them or for me anymore. I'm not sure, and I don't recall being born, but I remember being underwhelmed when I worked out who I was, because that didn't fit with any of the feelings I'd been feeling, the things I started thinking as a kid who didn't know how to be, but could instinctively pretend put on a show. Was it for them? I have forgotten where this ends. Blinking in the light, merging into something. Something isn't right. Something isn't working. No one on my side. No sense of where I'm standing. Half my fucking life caught somewhere in between. I have been waiting for someone to say they found out I'm a fake, a foundling fraudster on the take, a huckster hustling half his name around the world, and I'd reply, goodness knows you're right, I know that guy, that is just Shay, I do not know that man at all. After all, no one can, there's nothing there to know, it's all a show. Oh, the lights are on, but nobody is home. They kicked me out years ago, changed the locks and took my keys. My memories seen through a window like something I don't really own. Blinking in the light, emerging into something. Something isn't right. Something isn't working. No one on my side. No sense of where I'm standing. Half my fucking life caught somewhere in between. Is it so much to ask to be offered some protection, to be let go by the past, to feel some acceptance, to find somewhere to belong, and something to belong to, a place where I'm allowed, anywhere but in between. Half my fucking life blinking in the darkness, stuck on the outside, sick and mostly harmless, a stranger to myself, still chasing their forgiveness for anything I did when I was somewhere in between. Between. Thank you very much. Whew. Thank you. This is really fun.
Can we do it again, that
Yeah,
song?
go on.
That's not actually your last song, because we've just confirmed you need to do 5.
I need to do 5 for this to count as a show, so
sexy.
I put this guitar in a weird tuning, so I've got a limited option for what songs I'm going to play next.
Well, while you're tuning, because the most important people at this festival at all you guys out there.
You suck up. It's true. He's telling the truth. Thank you guys for being here. Let's hear it for 2000 Trees Festival.
Truly as well, every organiser, every person that's a steward, every person that's picking up rubbish, every person that makes everything fucking happen. Louder! This guy!
The beating heart of 2000 Trees Festival.
And because these people are important, let's give them the microphone for a few minutes. Before you play a song.
Sorry, I was leaping ahead. Yeah,
yes.
fine. Okay.
We've still got like 20 minutes, dude.
Oh, really? Okay,
yes.
Right. Calm down.
Do you want a drink?
I've got a water, thank you.
A liquid death.
Are you getting paid for that?
I'm not, unfortunately. What I want to do, instead of asking people to come up on stage, because it'll be carnage, fastest hand up, you can ask a... Wow. Wow. Fastest hand up can take us out for dinner tonight.
Blimey.
I'm getting laid, I told you.
I'll repeat the question. So
yes.
What's the weirdest gig I've ever played? I mean, there's a few. There was one. I got invited. The Joe Strummer Foundation is a charity, and they raise money and disperse it over the world. And one of the charities they work with is called Way Out Arts, which is in Sierra Leone in West Africa. And I've been out there a few times. They don't quite know what to make of my music, I'll be honest with you. But we do fundraising and awareness raising and stuff. And there's a guy there called Fal G, who is a leader of a kind of rap troupe, which is also sort of a gang, called the Blackstreet Family. And I was there one time, and he'd organised a rap battle in East Freetown, which was in a lay-by outside a car park. Car wash. And the stage was on pallets, and there was a blown-out kind of reggae PA. And they had all the gangs of East Freetown coming over to have a rap battle, and he told me that his aim for the evening was for there to be no violence, right? And made me feel very white and middle class indeed. And anyway, so I went down with him to hang out, and then we got there, and he went, "You're opening up." And I was like... Don't make me rap. Nobody wants that. No, he said, just play some songs. You'll play first on the thing. And so I'm standing there in front of about sort of 500 serious individuals with an acoustic guitar and a song about missing the bus in Winchester or whatever. And it was just kind of like, what has happened to my life? And I played, and everyone was really nice, and I did sort of crowd participation numbers, and that was cool. And my friend Styx, who works for the Joe Strummer Foundation, and he used to work at Nambuka, a bar where I started out playing music. And Styx and I have been some fucking weird and debauched parties in our life. And after I played, we were watching the rap battle and drinking palm wine, which, as far as I can tell, is essentially petrol. And Styx turned to me and he said, "We've been some weird places in our life, but this is the weirdest one." But it was great, and it was a peaceful evening, and it achieved all of Fal G's aims, and it was a good thing. So that was probably the weirdest show that I ever played. Yeah, so we got one in the front row. Why did I start making music in the first place? It's a good question. I mean, I told the story earlier about Iron Maiden and falling in love with that band, and I think the thing is, I just kind of wanted to do it. I wanted to be involved. I didn't want to just listen. Do you know what I mean? It was like, that's amazing. It's guitars and drums, and wow, that's cool. So I bugged my mum and dad to get a guitar for Christmas that Christmas, and I did. I got from the Argos starter pack, black and white Strat copy with a 30-watt amp. I've still got the guitar, I'm pleased to say. Anyway, and I got a book that taught you the first chords and stuff, and I just started playing, and one of my best friends at the time had a drum kit, and I went into his bedroom and we played Nirvana songs and AC/DC songs, and yeah, I just wanted to be. I didn't want to stand on the edge just watching. I wanted to see if I didn't know if I could do it. Do you know what I mean? And I wasn't any good for a long, long time, like decades. But if I'm even any good now. Yeah. So I just wanted to get involved straight away. That was the thing for me. So, gentleman in the hat. Hi. Yeah. The question of the songs that I've retired and or thinking of bringing back, I mean, that whole issue. I mean, retired's a bit of a strong way of putting it. There is, obviously, I've got a lot of songs, and there are some that are higher in my affections than others. I'm always nervous to say which ones, because invariably when I do, it's the person I'm talking to's favourite song, and then they start crying or whatever. And I mean, I suppose on some level, I'll pretty much play anything at some point. I mean, in terms of people making requests for shows, there is definitely, I do try and be accommodating with that, but there are some songs where it's like, I promise you nobody else wants to hear that song. And it's like, I'm going to play it, and like all of you will just be like, what's he doing? And there's one person going, yeah, which is cool, you know. But like, I mean, that's about the kids. I stopped playing for a long time, partly because it just felt a bit kind of backward looking to me in a way, and it also. There was a certain type of person who'd come to my show, demand that song all night noisily, hear that song and then leave. And it's just kind of like, well, fuck off then, do you know what I mean? But I stand by the song, and it felt appropriate to play it a bit lately, do you know what I mean? So, and at the end of the day, I fucking wrote it, do you know what I mean? So I play it for one. I mean, you know, there are some songs that I just don't think are very good, do you know what I mean? But if people disagree with that, that's fine. There is one song, I did a couple of collaboration albums with a guy called John Snodgrass, and the last, which were largely based around drinking, and methodologically speaking. And the first one we did, we wrote in a day and recorded in a day and got hammered both times. And the last track on it does actually feature me trying to rap over a broken drum machine, and it's the single worst thing I've ever recorded. And if I could delete that from the world, then I would. But broadly, you know, I mean, ultimately, if somebody comes up to you and says, I really like that piece of art that you did, it would be a bit of a weird thing to be like, well, you're wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm like, thank you. That's cool. Yeah, so, yeah, that's my vibe. Orange shirt and tankard. Am I going to go into this now? In front of anything that adds to the sum total of human happiness is fine by me, right? Each to their own, all the rest of it. I got the living piss beaten out of me by football kids all the time when I was a kid, so I'm not personally a football fan, and I'm going to do my fucking show, right? But that is not, emphatically not to do down anybody who is interested in it, is excited about it. I think it's cool. And of course I understand it's a national moment and all that kind of thing. It doesn't engage me very much. It's a shame if people feel that they're going to miss the show that they have tickets to because there's something that's more important to them. But I mean, that's fucking life. Okay, cool. I mean, put it this way. I'm the only person in my band who feels like this. So it might be a solo show. And like Matt, my keys player, has got a way of propping up a phone on top of his keys, and he's going to put the match on, and it's like, if you fuck up once... No, I mean, like I say, you know, I do understand why people care about it. It's just, it's not particularly my thing. So, down here, yeah, hi. What's the song I've written that I've held closest to my heart, and what's the song that I wish I've written? The first one's a much easier... Well, I don't know, they're both hard questions. Like, I mean, right now, Somewhere in Between is probably one of the closest songs I hold to my heart. I mean, at the same time, I don't want to be one of those people who's too cool to recognise their more successful songs. I mean, like, I Still Believe has paid my bills for a long time, and I fucking like that song. I mean, I think it's a good song, you know, and I'm proud of it, you know, and I'm gonna play it later. Spoiler alert. But yeah, this Somewhere in Between's pretty there for me in a minute. Ceasefire as well. Those two are quite important to me. In terms of songs I wish I've written, I mean, I have an endless fucking list of that. I mean, to try and keep this short because the universe will burn out at some point. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with a songwriter called Pedro the Lion. Pedro the Lion's basically my favourite songwriter of all time, and I'm going to cheat at your question by saying every single Pedro the Lion song. He played at the Lost Evenings in Anaheim last year, and when he came down, on the day he came down, I prepped all my crew, and I said to them, if I'm being weird with him, like, break it up. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm such a total fanboy for his music, and I sort of followed around like a kick puppy all day, and he was brilliant. He was amazing. Yellow, I hope that's cool. Yellow Hat. Hi, hello. What song gives me the most grief? Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I had a fair amount of grief about my side project band Mingle Hearted for various reasons that I'm not going to bother going into right now. But some of which, in all fairness, some of which I could see the point, and some of it was like a game of fucking gotcha. Beyond that, I mean, I don't know really. Like, there's a line, the song "Where I Tend to Be" that I played just then. There was the original line, and it had a line about. This is the thing. I do sometimes change a word or two in a song. I mean, partly if I feel like it, and partly because I think it's important to note that some songs that were written a long time ago, social mores have changed since then. Things change very rapidly, and I want to be sensitive to that. And the original line was about a beautiful woman. I changed to beautiful person because I just felt like a more inclusive thing to say. There's a line in Reason Not to Be an Idiot, which I still maintain wasn't supposed to be offensive, but it was taken that way by a lot of people about... it's a picture of her after she's had kids, and the intention of the line for me was that it was like, that's what happens to everybody, and it's a normal life thing, and it's not something ever to be ashamed of or anything like that. But I totally understand why people saw it in a different way, so I've changed it to Whiskey Sick now, which is it's a better fucking lyric anyway. So it comes and goes. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to be really adamant and like, fuck you, it's my art about everything. But I don't want to be a sociopath. Do you know what I mean? And there are intelligent people who have intelligent things to say. So that's what I would say to that. Hello. Oh, we've got someone lined up for this evening. I'm really... yeah, we have a guest harmonica player this evening. I'm sorry, but thank you. That's very cool of you to bring the harmonica. Very cool.
I've got like 2 more, I reckon.
Oh God, it's just a nightmare. Man in the Green. What's that? Sweatband. Yes. Hello. Is it harder to write happy songs or sad songs? Good question. I mean, in some ways, I don't really kind of break songs down into quite such sort of binary categories, I would say, and I sort of adamantly maintain that songwriting is an infinite field. You can write songs about anything you want. Beans on Toast writes songs about blackberries and cocaine, and do you know what I mean? It's like, are they happy songs? I don't know. But I mean, I think it's probably, in many ways, given that I think, for me at least, a big part of the point of art is kind of empathy and alleviating the human condition and that kind of thing. It's probably easy to find subject matter on sadder stuff, but then at the same time, again, to talk about that somewhere in between song, like, I mean, that was fucking hard to write because it was involved kind of ripping the layers off, you know, and it's probably easier to write a song about blackberries and cocaine or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So a bit of column A and column B, I think, on that one. We got one more, and the lady just over here has just won that competition. Sorry, I can't do everybody. I'm sorry. For those who didn't hear the question, after Summer in Between, do I know how much I'm loved? I find that difficult to say out loud, I'll be honest with you. Like, it's not my self-conception. I mean, this is a really hard thing. This is a good question, and I'm going to answer it. No, I know, but the thing is, it's like, it doesn't... It's just never... It wasn't a huge feature of my life growing up, let me put it that way, and it's quite difficult for me to accept that. And I stand on stages and people clap at the end of songs pretty fucking regularly. It's my job, do you know what I mean? And I'm super grateful to it. And the fact that people come to my shows and enjoy what I do means the fucking world to me. I have no idea how much that means to me. But there is a degree of detachment nevertheless, and I walk off stage and you go and sit in a bunk on your own or whatever it is. And it's somehow occasionally non-transferable. It's non-cumulative and all that kind of thing. So, like... That's very, very kind of you to say, and I really appreciate. And I'm trying. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. I've been doing this podcast now 7 years. Last year, I was 9 a.m. on in the very small word stage. So for me as well, I'm not taking any of the shine away from this, but this is my fucking favourite moment in podcasting in 7 years. It's
there we go.
Fucking lovely.
They came to see you.
Yes. It is fucking special. And I'm back on the main stage next year at 10 o'clock. No. The one thing I wanted to ask, and this is my final question, is on the podcast when it goes out for the world to listen to, you get to choose, because I'm keeping it the same format for every podcast, a song that means a lot to you by any band, any musician in the entirety of the whole of the music history.
Oh, I'm going to pick a Pedro the Lion song because I was just mentioning it.
There we go.
And there are so many that I could choose. But
the one
that I have tattooed on my leg is a song called Yellow Bike by Pedro the Lion. So, and you know what? I'm going to fucking play it right now. I've got to retune.
I think we've got time for 2 songs.
No, I'll just do one. But I've got to retune my guitar. Give me 2 seconds.
While you're doing this, stay around at the end because we're going to do a nice photo for all the socials, and we want you all, because you all look very beautiful today, considering it's day 3. You all look absolutely stunning, and
you're calling everyone beautiful now. You called me beautiful earlier. Now you're calling them beautiful. I fucking see.
I want to get laid.
All right, yes. I understand now.
And
on day 3 of the festival, you're a brave man.
Yeah. Bring the wet wipes. And there it goes. The secret set is maybe happening later. Is that maybe? Where would one?
Who knows? Who knows? But I mean, I'll say this: there is in a development that I found slightly startling when it happened a few years ago. There is a campsite named after me at this festival, and I was not consulted. I was just informed. My little sister stayed there one year, and she like texted me a photo, and she was like, "This is fucking weird."
That's awesome.
Who I suspect is in this crowd right now, or at least she told me she was going to be. You're not my little sister. I know what my little sister looks like. Right? There she is.
Wow.
Right. Anyway, but so, I mean, that's just a hint. And I can't keep secrets. I'm terrible at this. Anyway, right, moving on.
I'll see you there about 11.
Maybe. God damn it. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
So I'm going to play Petra the Lion song because I fucking can. And that also means that this makes this show number 2914. Thank you so much for having me today. Let's hear it for Mark and the podcast. It's been amazing. This song's called Yellow Bike. Pedro the Lion released 5 albums and then went away for a bit, and this was his sort of comeback single, and I nearly gave up on songwriting when I heard this song. It means the world to me, this song, and it goes like this. On a desert Christmas morning, 1981, 1 month shy of 6 years old, in the valley of the sun, my first 2-wheel bicycle stood by the tree, my heart pumping in my chest, and though I tried, I couldn't ride one yet. Street when my dad let go of the seat, I roll off and down the road. Somehow I never came back home, 'cause I remember what it was like astride my yellow bike. First freedom, second life, all the places I could ride. Early packing light, that little ache inside, my kingdom for someone to ride with. Now a highwayman who traded in his handlebars, going back and forth in vans and rental cars, on the 10, the 9, the 90 and the 95. And now with every stretch of road, and when I drive them on my own, I remember what it was like astride my yellow bike, my kingdom for someone. Some folks are loners, then you learn from them, when you've always been a joiner on the road again. But if you keep your legs pumping, it's just like anything. You can take that sting, and you can make it swing. Just remember what it was like astride your yellow bike. First freedom, second life, all the places you could ride. Leaving early packing light, that little ache inside, my kingdom for someone to ride with. I'd trade my kingdom for someone to ride with. There it is. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the main stage at 7 p.m. Cheers.
So there it is. There is truly my favourite moment of 7 years in podcasting. I absolutely had the time of my life. Frank Turner was so generous with his time. Those songs he chose. An actual fucking Million Dead cover. A dream come true, and I have honestly, since last weekend, been pinching myself that it was all maybe just a dream because it felt that great. Oh, I would love to go back there right now and be in that moment. The response online from just the photos has been insane. I've read so many comments on the official groups for 2000trees and Frank. People said it was the highlight of the festival. It honestly couldn't have gone better, and I've said that a couple of times today, but it was amazing. Frank had an absolute blast. I caught up with him after it. He said he had such a great time. There's been some amazing photos shared on all the socials, and it's just absolutely amazing. You can probably hear how buzzing I am still 5 days later after it happened. I'm on cloud nine and I'm pinching myself at every moment because it really was just unreal. If you've enjoyed today's episode and you're a big fan of Mark and me, or you're new, then why not take the time just to share this episode? There's so many Frank Turner fans out there, and I want people to get on board and hear this interview. So if you can share it, there's links on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, and all those are also on markandme.com. I make it so simple that all I ask is just to share it, and that's literally the click of a couple of buttons, and that will honestly go a long way. This podcast is just me. I'm an independent podcaster. I don't have a company or people working for me, so any help getting the word out there is greatly appreciated. I do also have a Patreon account, and that's to help pay the bills. Also, with this podcast traveling to these festivals and gigs, hosting the podcast on these different directories, it all costs money. So if you go on markandme.com and you've really enjoyed this, you can support me by clicking that Patreon button, and in return for your £1 or £2 a month, you're guaranteed at least 4 or 5 episodes every month. You get an exclusive episode called The Lost Tapes, which is only for people on Patreon. You get a welcome pack which comes with a sticker, a limited edition pin badge of the Mark and Me logo, a monthly newsletter, and so much more. And it's my way of thanking you for supporting the podcast. I really hope everyone's enjoyed today, and I really do appreciate all the support, all the love, and it's been incredible online since I've been at 2000trees, so thank you so much. None of it has gone unnoticed. I also want to give a massive thank you to Frank and his team. You didn't have to do this, and it was an absolute blast and many people's highlights of the whole of 2000trees. So your time is so appreciated, your kindness is unreal, and I'm so grateful. Right, I'm going to go now because there's more specials coming out from 2000trees and they will only be a day or two away. So in the meantime, look after yourself, take care, be kind, listen to Frank Turner, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
On a day